Let's see. Let's see. I don't know. Oh, that was my shoulder. I don't know if, let me double check, make sure that this is working here. Am I live? Am I live? I am not live. Okay, that's the problem. Dang it, wait, I thought I was working. Are you not working? Come on, no. Yes, no, it is working. Yeah. Guys, I'm so proud. But it doesn't say that I'm live, which is weird. Oh, no, it does. Okay. Okay, let me just make sure. Guys, I'm so proud. There was an issue and I fixed it myself. Brian's not even home. I'm all grown up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? It's working. Okay, cool. Guys, I'm very proud. How are you? How's it going? How are you doing? Oh, are you kidding me? The cat, hold on. Marilla. Yeah, you're not allowed to do that. Wow, how did you even do that? No, oh. I know. Okay. Sorry about that. Hi, how are you doing? How is everyone doing? Hello. Hello, Nat. Hello, Richard. Hello, Jen. What's up, guys? How are you guys doing today? What's everyone reading? I have to start a new book today and I don't know what to start. I don't know what I'm in the mood for. I finished my book last night and I got another Coke. Sorry, that was probably very loud. Well, that's probably really loud too. And, oh, is my House of Leaves in here? Oh, that means Brian moved it before he left. That's not good. Where the hell is my book? I put it... Oh, it's over here. Okay, we're good. We are good. Oh, he even left me a note. Cool. Yeah. I did enjoy the movie. I had seen it before. At first I thought I didn't, but I had seen it before. It's one of the better Mummy movies. Cemetery Boys? Let me see what that is. Ooh, a young adult fantasy novel. That sounds interesting. Yeah, I don't know what book I'm gonna start today. I got these kind of weird books that I wanted to read. So maybe I'll start one of those. I don't know. So this is what I realized, Nat. I think I'm too old. The book is very Gen Z, and I think maybe that's why I didn't connect to it as much as I thought I would. I think that's where I mean, it wasn't like a bad book or anything, but I did go into it with like different expectations, certainly. So it wasn't my favorite book, but it wasn't bad by any means. I just had a hard time connecting with it, I think. Oh, you're reading the Dungeon Crawler Carl books. Are those good? I know that everyone's obsessed with them. Did you read the second in the series, the Southern Reach series? I haven't read the second one yet, but the first time I read that one, I didn't love it. And then the last time when we just read it for book club, I was like, oh, this is so good. So now I'm interested. So I'll try to read the second one at some point. That's what everyone says. I'll have to read it one of these days. I'll have to read it one of these days. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to read. I don't know what usually I'm like in the mood for a specific type of book, And I have no preference on what to start today. I don't know. Actually, let me show you. But my husband went to the bookstore yesterday, but I wasn't really feeling that great, so I didn't go with him. And I was like, just pick me up any book. Just grab me any book. And so he sent me a picture of a few of them, and I picked one. And this is For Your Own Good. And it's by Samantha Downing. And I have no idea what it's about, but it says it's a perfect summer book. So I'm going to add this to my summer reading list. Has anybody read this one? God, I could sniff books all day. They smell so good. Oh, you finished? Oh, cool. Authority. Yeah. I'll read the second ones eventually. Oh, today's Sunday, no? Guys, I think I can tell you what book got picked. Can I? I think we have our book club pick for next month. It's the poll. It is, wait. Yep, poll ended. It's The Monk, guys. The Monk is officially book club. So we have a little bit of time to read that because we won't be able to meet until the 12th, I think I was. One, two, three. Yeah, because in 4 weeks, it'll be that weekend of 4th of July. And I know that no Americans will probably be home. They'll probably be out. So we'll meet the 12th for The Monk. We're finally reading The Monk. Book clubs are so fun, aren't they? Yes, not 100%. I think that's part of the thing too, because you get something and you're like, oh, this people say this is so gross and so weird, and then you read it and you're like, oh, I just read something 100 times worse. Yeah, and I feel like it's the transgressive fiction that I read that's always worse than the horror books. Like, always, no matter what. Oh, wait, so did you cry? I remember finishing, not quite dead yet. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was bawling. Bawling in my kitchen. I know. I know. That is the bad thing about book club. Because a lot of the times, all the options are great. I think a few book clubs ago, whichever one the vegetarian was an option for, I think I read like 3 out of the 6 book clubs that month because they all just looked so interesting. This is driving me crazy. It's so loud. Can you hear this? Okay. Yeah, that's why I'm glad we're reading it for book club because I feel the same way, especially with older books. Sometimes, they're a little bit harder to get through. So I'm actually really excited that we're doing it for book club because, and same with like House of Leaves. That's why I was so nervous to pick up House of Leaves. I'm like, oh, I'm not smart enough for this. And then you read it and you're like, oh, it's just words on a page. It's just a book. But yeah, obviously I totally understand that feeling intimidated by a book. But book club, I feel like makes it a little bit easier. Makes it less stressful to do on your own, It was just Decomposition Book was just very different than I thought. It was more about internal struggles than external struggles, and I just had it built up to something else completely in my head. But it was interesting. Obviously, the premise is really cool, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to read. I'm just not sure. And I don't know if we... Oh, this book is dusty. Dang. I also feel like we don't really have a crazy amount to talk about for House of Leaves either. These chapters were definitely, I feel like, less complex than some of the other chapters, so yeah, nothing too crazy. Oh, I can't do the TBR yet because it doesn't come out until the 16th, so I still have a few days before I can do that. Yeah, I don't know. I might read one of these weird books. I don't know. And then I haven't really been reading my Kindle that much, so I kind of want to get a Kindle book read. I also have 2 of my book clubs for my friends to read. I have a lot. I just don't know what I'm feeling, I haven't quite figured out what I want to read. I don't know. Something gross. I just want to read something gross. That's all I want. Just something really dark, really gross, really weird. Oh, I really liked The Last Time I Lied. I really enjoyed that one. I don't know what 5 Survive is. 5 Survive book. Oh, it's a Holly Jackson book. Wait, when? Oh, 2022. Okay. I'm confused because I thought she just had Morella, can you stop, please? I thought she just had young adult books, but this says it's a standalone adult thriller. Okay, well, I'm gonna add this to my list, so thank you very much. Oh no, this does say, but then right here it says genre, young adult, so which is it, bro? Oh, no, young adult thriller. I just read young adult thriller and then didn't, yeah, I'm stupid. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't even know that she had that one. I haven't that Good Girl's Guide to Murder one that I haven't read yet. I'm just a little. I don't love YA novels. I mean, like, I've read YA novels that I've enjoyed, but I don't usually go out of my way to read them. But I'll try to pick that one up soon because I love her other books. So, yeah, no, not that disturbing. Not that disturbing. Not in the mood for that kind of disturbing. More like not extreme horror, more like transgressive fiction kind of stuff, you know? I know. Really? See, I feel like you figure it out along the way, but I didn't feel like it was too obvious until quite a bit into the book, or at least like for me. It took me a while before I figured out who the killer was in that one. But yeah, just break my heart, that book. If I ever meet Holly Jackson, I will have some words for her. Oh, is it a graphic novel? Somebody sent me one of those graphic novels. I haven't read it yet, though. I think it was yeah, I'm not sure, Frankenstein one or something? Morella? Morella. Morella. Ma'am? Hello? Hello? I know you can hear me. Morella? I know you know your name. She's just standing on a piece of paper and going shh, 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 shh. I have not read Incidents Around the House. I have seen that one though. But I haven't read that. Okay, I'll have to read. I was sent I think more than one graphic novel, not just by him, but other ones too. I really need to get my glasses fixed. They keep falling. But I should read them because I really haven't read any horror-y type of graphic novels before. So I should give those a try. I don't know if you guys can hear Marilla, but she's gonna drive me crazy. Morella. 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 Yes. You know, last night I was thinking about how I wanted to do Train Spotting. I'm gonna make some time for Train Spotting. Ah, yeah, that's what happens, especially with those thrillers. They give you one line and then you're like, now I know who the killer is. Thank you so much. But that one that one wasn't obvious to me. It took me a while to figure it out. Well, guys, do you guys have any plans for this lovely Sunday? Are you just hanging out? Are you just reading? What do you guys have going on? And also, you guys, I haven't had boba in like over a month. I've barely had any tea this week or this month at all. Maybe once or twice. Who am I? Who am I? Marilla. What are you doing? Really? She's mad that we haven't sacrificed a living being for her yet. Crocheting. Oh, that's a good one. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, that one freaked me out when I was younger. That's the one with the... Oh, wait. No, maybe I'm thinking of... Actually, I think I'm thinking of a different one. I think this is the one that I haven't seen. Yeah, actually, I haven't seen this one. Sorry. I was thinking of the other alien one. What is that one called? Fire in the Sky? The supposedly real one? Yeah, Fire in the Sky. Dude, that movie freaked me out when I was little, but I actually have never seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I need a hobby like that. Not crocheting, but something similar. Because I have a bunch of audiobooks and I can't really pay attention to them if I'm doing something else. Like I used to clean and listen to audiobooks, but then I zone out. I need to just be sitting and like focusing on something, but I don't really have any hobbies like that, you know? But I feel like that's a great listen to an audiobook hobby. Perfect. Reading T-Cats. I mean, what else do you need in life? Yep, that's my favorite evening plans too. Oops. So this, the Age of Innocence, this is your book club with your friends? Yeah, and then I asked my friends if they'd read Pride and Prejudice, and one of them has, so I can't even add that to my girls' book club. I was like, that would have been a perfect one. Okay, so is embroidery? No, that's something different, right? This, I don't know what this is, like cross stitch or something? That's different from embroidery. I have a kit and I bought it, I think it was like during COVID. And it's those things, I don't know the words, but it's like it's like a circle. There's a circle and then you put the mesh kind of thing in it and then you do this. I think it's cross stitch or something. But I have one and it's all Golden Girls themed. And I'm like, this would be so fun, but I have to teach myself how to do it and I don't know even where to start. And I'm not very good with that kind of stuff. Like any sort of like arts and craftsy, artistic kind of stuff. But I feel like that would be really good to listen to audibles and just do that all day. Like I'm fucking 70. I basically am. Oh, are those the same thing? Cross stitch or embroidery? Are those the same words? I don't know the jargon for that. Yeah, I need to be better at if I was good at crafting, I would have no problem. But yeah, I'm not good at crafting. I'm not good at art kind of stuff. Puzzles, yeah, I don't have patience for that either. Hello, welcome. Oh, okay, they are a little different. Interesting. Yeah, I should look into that because I got a kit for it, but I don't have the like circle thing. Like I said, I don't know the words, but I don't have the circle thing that the mesh thing sits into. Like that didn't come in the kit, so I think I have to get that. Yeah, I do have some. Actually, yeah, I do. I have right here. I have Great Expectations right there. I was hoping to get through tons of classics, but I haven't been reading as many classics as I would like. It's hard. There's just always more books. Yeah, I mean, you guys know. There's just always more books to read. Oh, different cloth. Okay, well, that's good to know. Okay, cross stitches stitching and embroidery. Oh, okay. Freehand on regular fabric. Okay, yeah, so I think it's like a cross stitching kit. Yeah, I'll have to figure it out because I feel like that seems super fun. And then I was thinking like they're little Golden Girls things. I will frame those and put them up all over my house. Yes, that's what I need. Brain off, audio book on. That's exactly what I need. And even like the only time I would say that I feel good about listening to audiobooks is when I'm driving. And I just hardly ever drive anywhere. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'll go get a tea, and the tea place that I go to is like across town, and my town's really big, so it takes like, 20, 25 minutes to get there. So when I listen to an audiobook there and back, then that's good. But I have like 6 hours of one audiobook, and then I have a whole nother audiobook to get to before the end of the month. So I'm like, I really have to figure out a way to do that. Sometimes I do it when I'm walking on the treadmill, but like, you gotta freaking... I gotta have some real motivation to get my ass on a treadmill. Oh, have you tried you've tried the diamond things? My best friend's mom does those. She loves them. And they turn out really cute. I bought her one for like Christmas or something, and then the next year she did it and gave it back to me, and so it's hanging on my wall and it looks really cute. But yeah, that also does seem like something that's fairly easy that you can kind of turn your brain off. Okay, I'll try it out. I'll see. I'll see if I can learn. Really? I don't know if I've read... Like, I can't think of any Charles Dickens anything that we read. I certainly don't think we read any in college that I can think of. I'll have to put the Great Expectations up on my list. I need to make a classics section of like a few classics that I want to get through soon, and then, once a month, pull one of those out. But I think that's the only one that I have. Oh, no. Oh, I have Bleak House. That one I really want to read, but that one's a thick guy. And I keep getting we gotta freaking finish House of Leaves because I got the new Ronald Malfi book, The Hive. I think that one's like 700 pages. I got that Stephen King book. What is it called? I don't know, but that one's like, I think 700 pages, 800 pages. And I'd really like to start one of those, but I'm like, not until you finish House of Leaves. That might be it. Tension hoop. Okay. That's actually good because I was like, I need to get one of those things, but I had no idea what they were called or something. So now I can figure that out. I will stop by Michael's and try to learn a new hobby. Yay. I wanted to learn a new hobby anyway. So I'm like, I just sit and read all the time. That's my only hobby. I feel like I need something else. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, maybe I'll like listen and read Bleak House at the same time because it's kind of long. So it'd be nice to have both, do a little bit of both or something. Yeah, I don't know why. Driving, because you have to be paying attention when you're driving, but not so you're distracted. You know what I mean? I feel like it's the perfect time. I hardly ever drive. And if I'm in the car, I'm in the car with Brian. So I'm not going to listen to an audiobook, you know? But I hardly am ever driving around. Yeah, exactly. Lose concentration. Like you're paying attention, but it's not distracting from what's going on. Yeah, I don't think I've ever, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever read any Charles Dickens in school. Like I definitely didn't read it in high school or anything. And I can't even think of one Charles Dickens anything that I read in college. Yeah, I haven't read that either. Yeah, I don't know. But I guess I guess that makes sense. Because I feel like a lot of my focus in college was on older works. Like I had like a John Milton class and I had like a 17th century poetry class, and so I guess stuff will inevitably get skipped over. Oh my gosh, I just read The Importance of Being Earnest. That one I had read at least parts of in college. I don't remember if I read the whole thing or just parts of it, but I was cracking up reading that. I had such a blast reading that. What's Masterpiece Theater, like a play? No, I never read A Christmas Carol. I've never read A Christmas Carol at all. And you know what's funny is I got it a few years ago, and this year for Christmas, I'm like, okay, I have to find The Christmas Carol. I searched my entire bookshelf. I had my husband come in, search this entire room. We could not find it. Like a month ago, I found it. It was in my TBR cart behind a bunch of books. I'm like, I will never read this book. So maybe this Christmas I'll finally get to it. Oh, that could be. I mean, we did do Shakespeare. We did Shakespeare in like 7th grade, which is so stupid because nobody knew what was going on, and the teachers certainly were not teaching it correctly. They were like, now we're going to read this love story of Romeo and Juliet, and then you read it later and you're like, okay, not exactly what I would consider a love story. That's so funny. Wait, that's really funny that a lot of you guys read that in high school. I read like, the, why is the name escaping me? The one where all the little boys kill each other. I read that in high school. Yeah, maybe that's not something that they teach here. Lord of the Flies. Thank you so much. Yes. I read Lord of the Flies in high school. And stuff like that. That's the one that really stands out to me. Oh, we read Grapes of Wrath too. And stuff like that. Oh, a PBS show. Interesting. Interesting. Wait, did you guys read Lord of the Flies in high school? Now I'm very intrigued. I guess that's true that different, like if we're in, probably even in different states here, I'm sure people read different things. Huh. Yeah, but I don't think we ever read any Charles Dickens or anything like that. That's really funny. I never considered that. And then we're on 16. I think we have a bit. Yeah, we still have a bit left. We have 100 and... Nope, I'm not doing math right now. Let me use a calculator. They also didn't teach me math. Isn't it so funny that teachers like, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. And you're like, yeah, bitch. Watch me. Watch me, because I just did that so fast. We have 158 pages left of House of Leaves. That is not that much. That's not that much. Guys, we are almost done with this book. That's crazy. And then, you know, maybe we'll have to read some of these extras and stuff, because I'm not sure if we've gone to everything yet, but that's not bad. That's not bad. Yes, Of Mice and Men. We did that at school too. Yeah. Really? You guys read The Handmaid's Tale? That's interesting. I don't know what Goodnight, Mr. Tom is. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. I bet if I would have at all paid attention in school, in high school at least, college I did, but high school I was like hardly ever there. I had to like go to my teachers and be like, hey, you're not going to drop fail me because after you miss like 15 days or something. And every morning I would just tell my mom, I don't want to go to school. I hated high school. But I'm sure I would have enjoyed English classes if I tried a little bit. And then I took a few years off and I went to college and I was like, oh, wow, school can be really cool. Oh, this is, yeah, chapter 13. It sucked, you know? Like, high school just wasn't fun. I had way more fun in college. That is so funny. I had the only really horror book that I added to my girls' book club because they're not horror people and they don't want the blood and guts and stuff. I had them read the Grady Hendrix, that Witchcraft for Wayward Girls book. One of my friends just texted me and said, this could be interesting. And it's the Southern Book Club Guide to Slaying Vampires. I'm like, hell, you want to read that one? Okay, we can read that one. And it's funny too, because they're like, oh, we don't want to read horror books. We don't want to read horror books. They've picked books. They're not horror books, but they're more horror than the books I picked. I'm like, you guys are reading horror. Like, it's the same thing. They're picking like really intense thriller books that are super bloody and stuff. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's horror. Yeah, that's true. College, it's your choice, and you get to pick what you study. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I remember when I first started going to college, I came home and I was talking to one of my friends. I'm like, I think I'm cheating in my class. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I went over all the stuff that was on the test, and then I got a really good grade on the test because I knew everything. And she's like, you mean you studied? I was like, oh yeah, I guess. Because I had never studied before for anything in high school. And I thought I was cheating by just knowing the material. Yeah, like the lottery, or I like We Have Always Lived in This Castle. Yeah, I was just more interested in social time in high school. Like I just wanted to hang out with friends and stuff. I didn't care about the actual studying, schoolwork kind of stuff. And I feel like I didn't really have good teachers until I got to college. When you have college teachers, I feel like the ones that I found that were really dedicated to their subject and like really loved their subjects and worked in their subject even outside of teaching, I just felt like I learned so much more from them than the teachers that I had in high school. I know, I've never read Sherlock Holmes. I know. One day, I'm sure. Exactly. Yes, in English classes, you were with people who loved reading. Yeah, I remember because I first started college when I transferred to university. I was still a sign language major, but I was taking a few English classes because I didn't know where I wanted to be. And I was in a group project with, it was just like a general English class. And I was absent one day and they had to pick the short story that we had to analyze or whatever. And then they're like, we're so sorry. It's a stupid story. Like we didn't know. I'm like, oh, it's fine. I don't care. And then we're working on the project. I'm like, no, you guys, it's such a good story. It ended up being a really great story and actually like kind of horror based too. It was about this guy who killed his family, whatever. But so I'm like telling him like, no, you guys, don't you get it? He kills his whole family, and we're like analyzing the story. And I remember one of the guys in the group looked at me and he's like, why aren't you an English major? And I was like, oh shoot, why aren't I an English major? And then I ended up switching my major to English. Yeah, and then you get to hang out with people who love English as much as you. And that's why I like doing stuff like this too. I like, to be honest, I don't know that there's a whole ton of stuff to talk about. I don't know, maybe you guys feel different about these chapters of House of Leaves, but okay, we started on 13. The Minotaur comes up again. Now I have to remember where we were because it's been a while since I read the 13th chapter. Oh, yes, okay. Oh my god, that's so funny. You must have been teaching something they enjoyed for once. That is so nice. Oh my gosh, that's so nice. Yeah, and now, oh my gosh, the stuff that teachers have, they can physically watch you type out your essay to make sure that you're not using AI and stuff. That's nuts. Oh, you read it a few years back? It's a crazy book. I do feel like the previous chapters had a little bit, I don't know, I feel like these didn't have, you obviously there's stuff to analyze and stuff, but I feel less so than the other chapters. Okay, so we start out with, I think this is Navidson's kids, and they're talking about the pictures that they drew of their house to their for their teachers. And the kids drew a picture of a house. It had no chimney, no windows, or even a door. It was a black square filling 90% of the page. In the thin margins, Chad added a creature. The picture reflected the stress caused by the move and the new surroundings. And then I think this is a different picture. Yeah, drawings on the wall. Wolves, tigers, dragons. This time only 2/3 of the size of the page. An impenetrable square. Dude, my notes are so bad. I don't even know what this means. Oh, this is because I'm on the wrong chapter. Okay, yeah. This is the thing that's hard about talking about House of Leaves, because we can stop on every single page and be like, why do you think that he drew wolves and tigers and dragons? And I mean, we can analyze every single thing, you know, but we would also be here all day. So I'm just going to kind of give you bits as we go along, and then we'll talk about the bigger things, I think. Okay. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, yeah, so we have the pictures that they drew. The monstrous square gets progressively larger and darker until, in Chad's case, not even the barest margins survive. So he's just drawing big black squares to represent the house. And then we get a little bit of talk from Dr. Lon Liu. He believes that the house enabled Karen to slowly break down her reliance on Navidson, allowing her a greater and more permanent distance. She merely replaced one dependency for another without confronting what lay in the heart of both. Yeah, I did not also take the best notes. At this point in the book, Navidson is still missing. He is still within the house. Jed is dead. Wax is wounded. And the cops refuse to enter the back rooms. And then it's at this point that Karen has decided to leave, and she packs up some of her stuff. Oh yeah, that's probably a good thing to point out. You're right. That both children drew the black box and the animals around it. They're all predatory animals that they could be scared of. the black box eventually overcomes them. The house is scarier than the monsters. Oh, that's an interesting point. Yeah. I wrote, see, this is kind of also what sucks about, because I read this first part like a month ago. I wrote, it seems like the house is sucking the life from them and consuming them. But yeah, that is interesting that the house does seem to be scarier to them in this context than the animals around it. But yeah, that's also a good point that both kids drew them separately, I'm pretty sure, in school, right? And then Chad and Daisy, the children, it says they both seem so removed, almost in a daze, while all this is happening. Who is this? Oh, the sheriffs that consented to the interview that came. They said that they were walking down an unfamiliar hallway. It's not there now. I checked. Nothing unusual is there now. And then we see also like the kind of mental state of Karen deteriorate more, causes her to have heart palpitations and tremors. And then it also says the children are once again abandoned. So it talks about what Karen's doing inside the house and how the kids are often left kind of to their own devices. Chad a lot of the time is outside of the house, and then Daisy's just chilling somewhere. And a lot of the house is often referred to as a grave. These are different people that talk about it. That should put this ghost in the grave fast. Cold as a grave. I feel like I'm in a coffin. It's like having a giant catacomb for a family room. Grave maker. I feel like I'm in a grave. Makes you wonder what gets buried here. And then you have a comment from Johnny that says Zampano. I still don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. Also uses the word grave as well. Okay, so we have where the people are. And that the cops are called to the house. Yeah, okay. So we have Tom attempts to recover lost ground by accompanying Reston back to the Great Hall. Much to their surprise, however, they discover that the hallway now terminates 30 feet in, nor are there any doors or alternate routes branching off of it. So it's not this big empty cave as it once was. Yes. Yeah, so that's I'm trying to decide if I'm jumping ahead of myself by saying this. Maybe I am a little. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so Navidson is much more obsessed with the house than with anyone in his family, his wife or his children. He kind of puts everyone aside to go exploring, which shows a broader image of who he is as a person, because he's kind of always left his family behind to go work on projects. And Karen, I think, allows her codependence on Navidson to keep her from parenting the way that maybe the children need them to be parented, or at least, yeah, they need something. They need more comfort in this time for sure. And they are oftentimes kind of left to their own devices in the house. Okay, so we see that the hallway ends. So there used to be this like big hallway that they enter. There's doors on all the sides, and then you can keep going. It seems like forever. There's a giant staircase. Sometimes it took days to get to the bottom, sometimes a day. It feels like it contracts and wait. What's the opposite? What am I trying to say? That gets big and small. Hello? Constricts? No. Oh my gosh, what is the word? You guys know what I mean. It gets smaller and bigger. So they go in and they discover that the hallway is not there. It terminates in 30 feet. It says that the kids apparently bolted from the house when he heard some kind of murmuring. Something about a walker in darkness, then a bang, like a gunshot, and the sound of a man dying. It says, Tom finds Daisy, her forearms a crawl with strange scratches. And then that's when Chad bolted from the house. And then now it's no more than 10 feet deep, the hallway, and Navi's gone. He's been gone for 4 days. I should have highlighted a little bit more. Expands. Yes, what the hell? What the hell? Why couldn't I was saying retracts and expands in my head, and I'm like, that's the same thing. Contracts and expands. Holy crap. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, and then we find, so how does Navi get back? I think it just says Navidson eventually limps out of the hallway. And then Karen is crying to him, damn you for going. This house, this home was supposed to help us get closer. It was supposed to be better and stronger than some stupid marriage vow. Wait, it was supposed to be, yeah, it was supposed to be better and stronger than some stupid marriage vow. It was supposed to make us a family. But oh God, look what happened. Actually, this is interesting too. It was supposed to be better and stronger than some stupid marriage vow. See, this is another interesting part because although we've kind of touched on Karen's infidelity, I don't think that we really know the extent of it until a little bit later. So that's an interesting quote. It was supposed to be better and stronger than some stupid marriage vow, which I think to me implies that she's, or maybe is it after that she's cheating on him? Or before. Now I can't remember. But that kind of implies to me that she's kind of downplaying her own infidelity in the marriage and being like, this was supposed to be our starting point. Like, sure, we had problems before, and maybe I didn't keep up my end of the bargain, but this was supposed to be where things kind of turned around. So I feel like they're putting a lot of pressure on the house. That the house is supposed to save them. The house is supposed to be their saving grace, you know? And it's not like they're working on their marriage. It's not like they're trying to better anything. They're just relying on the house to do it. And then the house obviously is like, I don't think so, buddy. Okay, she cheated before and then went to the house. And then after. Yeah, so then that's interesting too, because when I read that, I didn't really catch that, but it does seem like she's kind of downplaying her own cheating in that instance. And then it says that Several essays have written about the reunion, and yet not one of them suggests Karen has reverted to her former state of codependency. Navidson's arrival means that she can leave. So she's clearly more reserved, even terse, relying on her smile for defense. Down inside, she really does fear him. She fears he will try to keep her there. She fears he will threaten her, slowly forming independence. So this whole time she's been kind of codependent on him, and this seems to imply that she's at least at her breaking point. Let's see if this is important. In the following excerpt, Navidson shed some light. I remember I found Jed's pack, so I knew I was okay on water and food for a while. Then I started climbing up the stairs one at a time. At first it was slow going. The roar would frequently rise up to the central shaft like some awful wail. At times it sounded like voices, hundreds of them, thousands, calling after me. And then other times it sounded like the wind, only there was no wind there. I remember finding the Holloway tape off of the landing. I had caught sight of a few bits of neon markers still attached to the wall, and wandered over to take a look. A minute later, I saw his pack and his camera. It was just sitting there. The rifle was nearby, but there was no sign of him. And then it says at the very end, Navidson was the only one who had second thoughts about abandoning the lore of those halls. So it seems like at that point, everyone was over what was going on except for him. There's just something in that house that calls to him. Let me make sure I'm not missing notes. Oh, the only note that I wrote was, I was curious. What changes what, though? What am I asking? Oh, I was wondering what changed the hall. Like, what all of a sudden ended where it was now that the hallway ended. So I was just speculating. Is it the fact that Karen wants to leave? Is it Tom's drinking? Is it the worry that Navidson won't return? Because it is their fear that affects the house. It is their emotions that affect the house. And when they were climbing down the stairs, for example, if they were thinking, oh, this is going to take forever, then the stairs would expand and it would take longer. And then if they were thinking, okay, it'll be short, then the stairs would restrict and they would get there sooner. Which, man, my anxiety, I would be on those stairs forever. So it is, something that is happening, that it's making their environment change. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on why the house started to change in this moment. And then who are we quoting here? Holloway? I was in the Great Hall again, oddly enough, though. As I soon found out, I was still a good ways from home. For some reason, everything was stretched there, too. Now, all of a sudden, there were a lot new dead ends. And then we have Johnny coming in with his rambling. He starts talking about how his friend stops by and is kind of freaked out by how bad he looks. How he has all of Zampano's things surrounding him. The papers all over the floor. How his friend called him weird and scary. Look at what you're drawing. Empty rooms. Hundreds of black empty fucking rooms. He says, get rid of it. It's killing you. And then he says that he's installed a number of extra locks. Missing the most obvious fact of all, that what I locked out, what I hope to lock out, I've only locked in here with me. I'm its source, the one who feeds it, nurses it back to health. Without me, it will perish. I've been overcome by the strangest feeling that I've gotten it all turned around. Without it, I would perish. Okay, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but where does it? This thing has created me, not me unto it, but now it unto me, where I am no more than the matter of some other voice. So he's just having trouble separating himself from what's going on with the papers. And then we also have some missing parts too. I think this is to indicate where some of the pages were burnt, I think. And then he says, there's only one choice now. Finish what Zampano himself failed to finish. Oh, Johnny. And then, so this chapter is called Minotaur, or like there's a quote about the Minotaur in the beginning. Or no, it's called Minotaur. Yeah. And then I just wrote that it seems like the Minotaur is repressed trauma that comes back up to destroy you. That's why Zampano tried to get rid of the story. And then, I don't know, do you have any other connections to the Minotaur? Why the chapter is called Minotaur, or what the Minotaur means to the chapter? And then there also seems to be some indication that Zampano potentially had a son, which is also interesting because I just feel like all the characters are related and keep coming back and connecting with each other. Like there's connections between Johnny's mom and Daisy, specifically with the Spanish doll. There's definitely some link between Zampano and Johnny because of what they go through when looking at this stuff. But then also there's a lot of strained relationship between parent and child. So, I mean, you could say even like Daisy and Chad and their parents, and then Johnny and his parents, and then Zampano as the parent and potentially his son. There's just a lot of connections. But I'm curious if you guys have any other connection to the Minotaur being the chapter represents the Minotaur definitely represents an unwanted child lost in the labyrinth, and that is definitely Johnny to some extent. Absolutely, yeah. Yes, that's okay, yeah. So the whole thing about the Minotaur was he was put in there by his dad or his mom's husband or something, because he's like half human, half not. I can't remember now. went over this in a previous chapter. But yeah, an unwanted child. Which I also feel like is kind of a combination of everything. Like, don't we get a little bit of Johnny's mom's history too? And didn't she have a strained relationship with her parents? Like, it seems like almost all of the kids have strained relationships with their parents to some extent. Obviously, I wouldn't compare, like, Johnny's issues with Chad and Daisy's, but still, to an extent, there is some strain or lack of parenting there. They built the maze for him. The quote under the title of the Minotaur is about giving something a name and the name shaping its form. Meaning the title of the chapter, or are you talking about just children in general? Wait, did I already read this? I'm not sure if I already read this or not, but I could have just read this. I don't know. But I wrote, it seems like the Minotaur is repressed trauma that comes back up to destroy you. No, yeah, I did read that. Oh. Wait, what the hell? Let me see if my camera turned off. Hold on. Oh, it did. Okay. Shoot. Okay, are we back? Did I fix it or did I not fix it? Hold on, let me double check. This is what's not good about not having Brian here, because if something goes wrong, I'm on my own. Okay, we're back. Yay, I fixed it. I'm a genius. Okay, sorry. Also, Johnny's mom had mental health issues, and I think for Johnny's madness is the labyrinth, maybe. Zampano crossed it out. The Minotaur is well known as being a baby of an affair with a bull. So in Zampano's allusion to a child of fear about it actually being his. That's true. Yeah, because I was thinking it was a strained relationship maybe on the kid's side, but that's also a good point, is that the fear that it's actually his. So it could actually be a strained relationship from his side of the relationship, which I didn't think about. And then we have some, I think this is about Holloway, if I'm not sure. We just have a little bit of info on Holloway and his past. Navidson's house functions like an immense isolation tank deprived of light, change in temperature, and any sense of time. And I think it's just really to show Holloway's character. I think that's like the intent of this, is we get to see how he reacts in different certain situations, like hunting or whatever, and then what ends up happening to him. It says Navidson was merely a photographer, while Holloway was a hunter who crossed the line into territories of aggression. And then this is, I just saw an interesting quote. With paths, while paths may differ, the ending may not. And see, like, I didn't really take good notes on this one either. He could still move around, though where he moves leads nowhere. It's painfully obvious the creature Holloway hunts has already begun to feed on him. So it talks about him kind of losing his mind down there. Oh, I think it also talks about his kind of mental health stuff as well. Yeah, I didn't really highlight that much here. And I didn't take good notes. So is there, from your guys' perspective, is there actually a beast inside the house? When the people go in, we hear growling, and that's what Holloway has supposedly been hunting, is this beast. That's how Jed accidentally got killed off, because Holloway ended up shooting him when he was hunting this beast thing. But is there actually like a physical beast in the house? I still can't believe I fixed that camera. I feel like I'm going to need to read this 18 times to get through every little piece of this book, you know? Like, I feel like this first read through is just the surface of what's actually going on in here. Holloway's part was interesting because when people know they're dying, they usually reflect on their regrets. His regret letting Jed and Wax escape so he couldn't emerge and say that there was an accident. Ooh, interesting. So is that what led to his death then? Was that being the focus of his regret? I guess, yeah, like how much of it is the person doing it onto themselves, and how much is it the house's influence? Like, is the house just a mirror held up to each person, or is it influencing people in a way that they wouldn't react outside of the house? Is it just them showing their true nature, or is the house like influencing them to become something that they weren't before? Yeah, of course. Of course, of course. We can talk about anything you guys want to talk about. And also just about the Minotaur section, because this is something that does come up throughout the book as well. And we have our, our thread, our line, the red bits. And then we also on page 336 have something in the shape of something. I don't know what this is. I don't know if it's like a weapon. I don't know if it's armor. I don't really know, but it's something. I think the people in the book and the relationship to the house is meant to be like the reader's relationship to the book. How much do you create as the reader and how much is the book? Yeah, that's true, right? And you also get to create your own experience through the book as well. Yeah, 100%. I think the house maybe just increases their natural behaviors. He was predatory and became more so. Navidson, always searching and wanting to discover, does so to the detriment of everyone around him. House of Leaves, House of Pages. Yeah, I think that that's all true. And it is interesting to kind of like, so on one hand you can blame the house for things, but then on the other hand you're like, well, but is it really the house? Wait, so do you guys think there is a monster, like an actual rawr monster in the house? Or do you think that's like just a representation of something else, like of their fears or whatever? And then here it says, Navidson is not, he did not build the labyrinth, he only discovered it. The father of this place. Oh yeah, we have missing parts too. Another father who swore. I also like too the missing pieces of this chapter as well. Like you become part of the story, kind of like how you were saying, how much does the reader create? How much does the book create? In this chapter specifically, because you're left with these missing pieces that I think are to indicate where the manuscript was burnt, you become part of the story by writing in the little letters that are missing from the manuscript. So you kind of go from being a reader to like an active participant within the story, which you are throughout the book. But I feel like this, you're like actually you're becoming a part of the story. You're filling in pieces of the story. Okay, you don't think that there's a monster. I think the house is sort of its own entity that can alter and manifest as it needs / wants, depending on who's inhabiting it. Yeah. I think I agree with you. I mean, I like the idea of there just being a giant monster, but I think that that's probably a more accurate interpretation, is that like it changes and it changes depending on other people's emotions and therefore reflects that person. So yeah, interesting. Maybe it's a metaphor for the dangerous parts in all of us or something, Okay, It's painfully obvious that that the creature Holloway hunts has begun to feed on him. Oh yes, we got that. But I don't know why I highlighted that and not. No idea. Okay. So then we have Holloway. He pushes the rifle against his chest and shoots himself. Here we have Holloway's death. I'm having trouble finding where my highlighting bit starts. And then Johnny's little subnote here, that's what you get that's what you get for wanting to turn the Minotaur into a homie. I think the monster sounds and noises probably started because of the kids. Kids are always scared of monsters under the bed, and they're the ones that are drawing all those like beasts and stuff too. Yeah, okay, so this is what's really freaking interesting. I'm really curious what you guys think about this whole Karen thing in the next bit. And then it says, supposedly the tyrant killed the inventor by placing him inside of his own creation. And so I just wrote like, is this a destruction of your own making? Kind of like, would these things have happened regardless? You know what I mean? Because I think on one hand, it's easy to kind of blame the house and what happens to Holloway. But on the other hand, because we get this background information of like his, mental health and like kind of where he's been, at the end, I feel like are kind of like, is the house just kind of doing what would have happened anyways? You know what I mean? Like, if these people never came to the house, would this have still been their fate regardless? It's kind of hard to say. Fingers of blackness slash across the lighted wall and consume Holloway. And then Johnny says this weird thing, Zampano is trapped, but where may surprise you. He's trapped inside me. And what's more, he's fading. Johnny's such a trip throughout this whole thing. Everything he says, I'm like, oh, yay, my book got chose for the next book club. For my girls' book club. We're reading next month The Perfect Marriage. That was my pick. And I think we only have 2 books left, and I think both of them are my picks. Yay! I finally get to read The Perfect Marriage. Cool. Cool. Okay, back to my notes. Sorry. Okay. But then people as a whole have an instinctual awareness of predatory threats, so I think the house reawakens the sphere in the adults. Oh, interesting. So kind of brings you back to that childhood fear. And so maybe it's easier to see a beast or hear a beast than it is to like hold a mirror to yourself and see who you've become. That's actually really interesting. What do you mean, like put it on the list, Richard? Like the category? Or are you saying in Discord? Oh, are you saying, oh, you're just saying like after House of Leaves. Okay, yeah. I can definitely ask and see if that's what people would like to do. if we can ever get this book finished. I feel like we could talk about this for years and still not get down to it. Okay, then we have this section called Escape, which is very interesting because the house transforms even more so than it has prior to this chapter. It says the bedroom door begins to collapse, and also everything about this house, the weird part of it, was contained within this specific area of the house. Now we have that overcoming the entire house. So I'm curious your guys' reasoning for why this happens and what sets it off and why that is, because they've been in that corridor. They've been searching, they've been hunting this monster, they've been, killing each other, doing stuff down there. Why is it now that the house completely transforms? Okay, so the bedroom begins to collapse. We watch the ceiling turn from white to ash black and drop. Then the walls close in with enough force to splinter the dresser, snap the frame of the bed, and hurl lamps from the nightstand. Bulbs popping like light executed. This is the first time that the house has physically acted upon inhabitants and objects. Do I 100% agree with that? I don't know, but I get what they're saying. Like, it's the first time that the outside of the house is doing stuff. Holloway's actions altered the physics of that space. Its nature seems to have changed. Karen's destruction of all her trinkets was interesting because she's been codependent to a fault and depends on those objects to help her stability. And as the stability, as the stability of the house in her. Yeah, okay, so yeah, that's when she was like taking all of her stuff. She had her little feng shui trinkets that she originally was trying to fix the energy in the house or whatever. And that's an interesting point. So do you think it was Karen that did it, or do you think it was Holloway's suicide that did it, or all of it? Yeah, so this is kind of a big change within the story because once Navidson comes back, you see her demeanor change, and like the book was saying, you could see her kind of like gain her own confidence and try to not just be so codependent with him. And then we also have Holloway's suicide as well. And actually, if you think about it, you also have his brother too, which now I can't remember his name. His name's like fucking Bob or something. I don't know. Who throughout this time is also drinking as well. But I guess that's kind of opposite because maybe it is Karen because everyone else seems to be doing what they've always done. And Karen is the one that is kind of doing something different from what she would normally choose. Everyone else in the book is kind of relying on their own vices individually. And she's the one that's trying to change. I think it was the house reacting and showing a physical manifestation to her becoming more independent. Yeah, that makes more sense because we have the brother that continues to drink. We have Navi that continues to explore. Even when he makes it out by, the skin of his teeth, he still wants to go back in. We have Holloway who kills himself and gives into his own, things. So yeah, it must be Karen that triggers it. That's really interesting. Because here it says Holloway's actions altered the physics of that space. Its nature seems to have changed. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it is Karen. Because she's the only one that's doing something different. Karen avoids the threat of the bedroom only to find her space rapidly enlarged. Karen, she collapses, lost in a seizure. Navi felt like he was running into the jaws of some big beast about to chomp down. That growl starts up again. The door frames come down like a guillotine, hammering Navi's shoulder. Daisy. Oh, all this time Daisy's screaming as well. So that's kind of interesting too. And then suddenly the floor drops away and he is sliding straight into the living room where he would have died had he not succeeded with one desperate flail to grab hold of the handle of one of the doors. The knock has turned into this heavy, awful pounding. The hallway door was still bolted shut and barricaded, but I just knew all hell was about to break loose. In fact, my first thought was that it was Holloway, though the hammering was awfully hard. I mean, the whole wall shuddered with every hit, and I'm thinking, if this is Holloway, he's changed, and I don't need to reacquaint myself with him now. Then all of a sudden the pounding stops. The silence was more powerful than any sound. Then the china cabinet and bureau start to sink. And then there was blackness, just slid down the floor and vanished. And then, so once the floor falls away, there's just like a big black gaping hole. It says the whole place keeps shuddering and shaking, walls creaking, only to melt together again, floors fragmenting and buckling, the ceiling suddenly rent by invisible claws, causing the molding to splinter, water pipes to ricochet. Well, you guys get the point. The fucking house is like collapsing. And then in the last part, we see Tom, that's his name, not Bob. We see Tom go into the house, or Tom's like running to get out of the house, and he disappears. Something dark and unknown told him to find his mother. That is Chad. That's what it says about Chad in the last thing. But so Tom disappears. Tom, bye-bye. Tom is lost and gone. So that's kind of another interesting thing, is like who makes it out of the house and who doesn't make it out of the house and why. And then they decide to leave. Okay, I am very curious about this Karen business. All right. Okay, chapter 14. Talks about Karen's relationship where she is cheating on her husband. And then it talks about her reaction to leaving the house, how she's still unable to enter any dark or enclosed space. It talks about also the sexual abuse of her father, which again is another parallel within the characters of the story, like the strained parent-child relationship. The house falling apart. It says Karen was not strong enough to define her own space. Blah, blah, blah. Then we have this. Okay, it says, I think this is interview. Okay, yeah, so this is the interview with the guy she was cheating on her husband with. She says that she's working on a short film. She looked like hell. She changed over the months, pale, darker, didn't smile much. She had to get back to that film she was editing or whatever. And then it talks about Karen and Navi's relationship. It says that they saw each other, blah, 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 not as a projection of her own insecurities and demons, but just as Will. So she starts to see him kind of as a separate entity other than herself. But my question is, if the house took so much from her, why is Karen working on this film? Taking time to distribute it to filmmakers, taking time to edit it. What is up with this part of the book? This part, I was like, wait, what is going on? We get a little bit of info about how obviously losing his brother changed Navi. And then we get these little snippets of interviews where Karen has either shown or sent or whatever pieces of this thing that she's working on to these different people, a psychiatrist, an architect, a playwright, a professor, a critic, a novelist, a philanthropist, a philosopher, all sorts of people. And then at the bottom here, we have a note from Johnny that says, to date, I haven't heard back from any of the people quoted in this transcript, with the exception of one of them, who made it very clear that he'd never heard of Will Navidson, Karen Green, or the house. And one other person who wrote a postcard saying, get lost, jerk. So, like, what the hell is happening here? This is where I started to think, is Karen in on this? Like, is this actually not what you think it is? Because at nowhere in this process does she, son of a bitch. I don't know why my stupid camera keeps turning off. Hold on. Bro. Oh, you know what? It's probably hot. That's weird because I feel like we... That's weird because I feel like we streamed longer yesterday, but my camera might keep doing that. I don't know. Oh, you know why? Because it's been on longer. Because Brian like kind of set it up a little bit before he left. Anyway. Possibly to have a cathartic, positive ending to her relationship with Navi. She knows that he's not coming back, or because she feels he's going to return to the house and not survive. A eulogy of sorts. Yeah, that very well could be. So, did you find this part normal? Because the whole time I'm like, it's interesting that she doesn't say anything about the house. She talks about the house because of the clips and stuff, but she leaves so much out, and she only has this very small film that she's showing people. And I don't know, it just seemed interesting to me. It's also interesting that no one returned Johnny's call, but also Johnny's very unreliable. So I don't know that you can necessarily take his word for it, but it is interesting kind of seeing how each person reacts to what they see and how they often contradict what the person prior to them says. And I wrote, it also seems like she's presenting it to others like it's a film. She talks about the characters, the house you created. It feels like it's represented in a fictional way. And I don't know, this is the chapter where I was like, I believed all of this was happening until right now. And now I'm like, I don't know if I trust any of you. But I mean, like, I guess that makes sense. Like, she knows he's going to keep exploring. She knows her husband well enough to know that this will probably be the end. But it just seems so weird to have something that broke her down so much, and she wants to show it to people. Yeah, one was Stephen King. One was Anne Rice. One was Hunter S. Thompson. Stanley Kubrick. So you do have, like, big names in here as well. But you have, like, contradicting. And the monster, I'm sorry, the monster needs work. And then the next person, oh, the monster's the best part. And then they each kind of give their individual analysis of what's going on through the lens of their respective careers. And most of them are hitting on her at the same time, which is interesting. Yeah, so then you have this guy saying, you need to refine how the house itself serves as a symbol. And then Stephen King after says, symbol schmimbles. Yeah, I guess that's not too weird because the other people are saying the house you created. And then as the things go along, they're like, wait, is this a real thing? And then Stephen King eventually goes, I'd like to see this house. They all contradict each other, and the majority hit on her yes, if made up trying to boost her self-importance / self-esteem. Well, also too, like, we're only hearing from their perspective. We know that she's like flirts with people. We know that she's like kissing people and cheating on her husband and stuff. So also, are these just one-sided creepy encounters, or is she like flirting with these people to try to get something out of it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think the important question is, if the film is made up and the story is made up, who made it up? Yeah, because that... And if it is made up, then what the hell happened to the brother? What happened to Jed? What happened to Holloway? You know? Which is honestly kind of even scarier. Do you guys have anything else about anything specifically about these quotes from these different people? Or I really liked Hunter S. Thompson's thing in here. Like, I feel like he did a pretty good job of trying to represent these people as who they, like the real people as who they are, you know? I mean, I don't know if any of the other people quoted are real people, like the philanthropist and French philosopher and stuff, but I like that they're, it seems like what I could see them saying this stuff, you know? And then, like this one, it looks like a trick, but it's a trick that constantly convinces you it's not a trick. So how would you describe the house? A riddle. And then I like how it ends off. More importantly, Karen, what does it mean to you? But is there anything else that stood out to you in these specific quotes? Because I highlighted a lot, but I don't want to go through and read every single one, because I know my camera is going to turn off again. Yeah, that's actually the last thing that I wrote on my notes. I said each person seems to have a different opinion than the next, often contradictory. And then did you find anything else important in this section? The last part, we just have a little bit of info on Navi and Karen. Navi, it talks about his time in Vietnam and his like kind of beginning of photography and how he likes to take portraits of people and not scenery. It says each of Navison's photographs consistently reveals how vehemently, I never know how to pronounce that word correctly, he despised life's destructions and how desperately he sought to preserve its fleeting beauty, no matter the circumstances. And it also does talk a little bit about the photograph that he kind of got famous for and how a similar photograph was taken and people were saying that it's exploitative because he was taking a picture of someone who was dying, whereas I think other people saw it as like a representation of war. And so I feel like that's also interesting because is that what this is? Are you just exploiting this like made up story for attention, or is this something that actually happened? I don't know. Does anyone know? Yeah, Wax's hurt in that house, apparently survives after a stint in the hospital and then goes on to explore but is never heard from again. Yeah. And what are the odds that everybody would like work together and keep this story under wraps if it was true. And like I said, I believed this story. Like, I really thought that this stuff happened until this chapter and this weird stuff with Karen. And now I'm like, I don't know if I trust any of you. I remember really liking Stephen King being in it. I thought about how he didn't like the movie of The Shining because in the movie, the house/hotel wasn't clearly haunted. The majority of people focused on the story taking place in the house. I think only one of them was truly concentrated on the science of the house. Yeah. But what does that mean? I don't know. It's just like, I really don't know. After this chapter, I never understood Karen as a character, you know? Like, I had a hard time connecting with her in any way. But after this, I'm like, I really do not understand. The way that she presents it, like it's some fake thing. And then that little bit about Navi and how, you know, people saw that as exploitative. And that's how he got famous in the first place. And his, like, thirst for more and more, you know? Then I'm like, guys, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't trust any of these bitches. Okay, so what? Do you guys have any other, just anything else to talk about from chapters 13 through 15? That was only 57 pages. Yeah, I guess we didn't really read that much. Is the house truly haunted / alive, or is it the people residing there bringing their own ghosts to the party? Yeah, and is the house just, I mean, obviously they filmed this somewhere, you know, but like the cop said after coming back, there was nothing there. The house was normal. So are they just representing the breakdown of their marriage through this film? Or did they actually capture something? And if they did, like, that's the only thing I don't understand is she's so adamant about leaving this place. She's so adamant about gaining her independence in whatever capacity, which I don't even really know that that's true, because she does just kind of go to someone else, you know what I mean? Like cheating on her husband with that other guy. But after all of that, why distribute? Why edit? Why work with your husband who cares more about this thing than your marriage to get, I don't know, it just seems so weird to me. I just have so many questions, and I think that's the fun part of this book, but also kind of the frustrating part of this book as well, because you end up with more questions than answers. You really do. I don't know that we will ever have a definitive answer on what happens. Okay, so here's the thing. Also, let me know, you know, if there's anything else that you want to touch on, because I know obviously I didn't touch on everything, and my notes kind of suck. God, this camera is pissing me off. Can you hear me at least? Or can you not hear me with the camera off? You probably can't hear, huh? Gosh darn it. Oh, you can hear still? Okay, that's good. I think my camera is too hot. I think that's why it keeps turning off. Which is annoying, but I kind of read the book as being about Johnny and the effects of the the document / story on him, and we are trying to understand the same documents as he is reading and editing. Yes, and we feel just as crazy as he feels because we're going down the same rabbit hole, you know what I mean? And we're driving ourselves just as crazy, being like, wait, but did this actually happen or not? The teacher's appearance as they all escape the hallway was interesting. She does nothing to help and thought she would have been the type to jump in and help in that type of scenario. Oh, that's right. She is, she does show up, right? Just further expanding on reality and thoughts / expectations being different. Yeah, that's true. And from somebody outside of the house too, like their perspective on it as well. Yeah, but there's just so many questions. And then you're like, okay, well, why are the kids drawing stuff like that? And then you're like, well, no, that makes sense. If they're in an unhappy environment and they're, Chad's always outside by himself and stuff, it makes sense that they would draw scary pictures and not feel safe and secure at home. So yeah, I don't know. There's so much stuff. Okay, so I think we have not that much left. 520. We have 150 pages. So do you want to just do like half of that? What is half of 158? So we'll do 80 pages and 80 pages. Plus 80, 450. Okay, and then this we can just go to the next chapter, even though it's a little bit after 450, but I don't... Okay, well, it's just going to keep going forever and ever. Jeez, okay, let's see if there's something before 450. .420. So we can either go up to chapter 20 or 21 for the next one. Is 21 the last chapter? I think so. So for the next one, we can read up to chapter 20 or 21. Chapter 20 is kind of long, but there's not a whole bunch of stuff, so I don't think it's really going to matter either way. It's kind of what you want to do. We can read to chapter 21, and then the very last time we can read the last chapter and then kind of like a whole wrap-up of the book. Chad is the older of the two as well, and when Karen was hurt, it sort of sounded like he had something dark in him, the house creeping into him as he gets older. Yeah, the older you get, the more susceptible you are to the house. Interesting. And also, we also see the relationship between Karen and her sister too, and how Karen doesn't speak to her. I'm just always connecting the characters to other characters in the story. So maybe Chad's being influenced more either from the house or from the situation that's going on. Yeah, and that makes sense too, right? Because I feel like the older you get, the more you kind of understand what's happening versus when you're little, you may not fully grasp the concepts of what's going on. Okay, wait, yeah. This is where we're at, right? Yeah. Okay, so for the next one, where do you want to stop? Okay, sounds good. Thanks for coming by. It's always so cool seeing other people's perspectives of the book and what they got from it and stuff. because I feel like we all get a little different, a little something different from it. And then we can also decide to oh yeah, because we'll have book club on the 12th. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I say we either go to 20 or 21. I mean, 19 or 20, right? 21's the last one. Yeah. Because I would like the last time that we meet to have, you know, we'll go over the last chapter, the last 2 chapters, whatever, and then just do kind of like a wrap up of everything. 21. Yeah. Honestly, most of 20, there's like barely anything on the page anyway, so I think that like, it really doesn't matter wherever we stop. Okay. Then we can just try to get this read as soon as possible. And finally finish this. It's gonna feel so good to finish this book. Okay, read to 21. That's 490. Hello? 490 minus... Wait, that's not... Oh my gosh. That's not right, sorry. 490 minus... Where did we leave off? 370. That's actually a lot. 120 pages. Is that too much? We'll give ourselves, you know what? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll go up to 21, but we'll have a little bit of extra time. So I'll do like a month and a half. So we'll have time to read the 120 pages. Does that sound good? And then the one after that will be the final chapter and yeah, the wrap up of the whole thing. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good because then we don't have to do a million more. We've done so many live streams about this book. It's crazy. And I will do my best to make better notes next time. I always think that my notes make sense and then I go and read them and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Is there anything else, Nat, like any notes that you wrote or anything that you wanted to discuss? Or any sort of wrap up for this or whatever? Okay, yeah, I'm really excited. Then we only have 2 more House of Leaves live streams. And then, yeah, if you guys want to start another larger book, we could do that. So we can have like a big book club and then a mini book club. That'd be fun. That would be very fun. In conclusion, I don't trust any of these bitches. That's my review of House of Leaves. I don't trust Zampano. I don't trust Johnny. I don't trust Navi. I don't trust Karen. I don't trust anyone. Yeah, what happened to the dogs and the cat? I hope the dog and the cat made it out of the house. I don't think they said. Okay, that's how I felt this chapter. Like, obviously, there's a lot to analyze and stuff, but compared to the other chapters, I felt like it was a little bit... Like, I took less notes, I highlighted less. There was less to go off of, I felt. Yeah, the connections. You're always like, wait, but what about this? But what about that? throughout the whole thing. Okay, cool. Well, I felt the same way. I think girl, I don't even know what the fuck that was about. I don't know what my phone just said, connecting to something, I don't even know. But I think the next few chapters will be a little bit more, they look more like the beginning chapters of the book, so. Oh, okay, he got the dog out. That's good. Oh yeah, in the beginning, yeah. Yeah. The only thing it did say is that the house doesn't seem to affect the pets, which is good. So I'm crossing my fingers that they're safe. But if these bitches left a dog in the house and left, oh, you know I'm rooting for their demise. You know I am. Good evening. The last live stream that we did, I put something behind the door in the other bedroom because I was trying to keep Mosley from going in that bedroom. And Brian came home and he's like, Mosley locked himself in the other bedroom. I was like, oh no. I don't even know how long he was in there. So I was just making sure he was in here with me and not locked somewhere else. Okay, well, do you guys have any plans for this evening? Just hanging out? Just chilling? Are you guys going to bed? I know it's kind of late for you guys, huh? It's getting there. It is getting there. It's still early over here. So I got the whole day ahead of me to do some reading. I just have to figure out what the heck I'm going to read. I don't know. I don't know. Bedtime, yeah. That, you know what, I'd be down for it if the house, whatever its effects on the people, but if it saved all the animals, I'd be all right. I would be all right. I'm talking to you. My phone is possessed. I don't know what it's doing. Thanks guys for hanging out. Thank you for reading this book and trying to make sense of it with me. It's always nice reading something complicated with other people and getting their perspectives on it. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. I guess I'm just gonna take my dogs out and go read. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I will see you guys. Oh, I'll be posting the book club now that it is officially the monk. I'll post the book club thing, and we will be meeting for that on the 12th of July. And then I don't know when we're going to meet for this next one, but we'll figure that out. And yeah, we'll get to the end of this somehow. Oh, sorry. And my camera just lost. All right, guys. Well, I think that's where we end the day. Thanks for hanging out, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye, everybody.